Hey guys, got the next part of the Delve Diary for 3.22. Okay, so we have actually made it all the way down to 4,100 depth. We're at 4,126 right now. And in this video, since I did make quite a lot of gear changes, I think we'll go over those gear changes after we do some live showcases of the depth, like how the build performs in the depth, so you guys can see real time how that's going. And stuff like that. Okay, so I do want to talk about the difficulty scaling. So right now at this depth, things have definitely gotten a lot more rippier. I think in my last video I said I didn't really notice the difficulty change from 1500, and I think it was maybe about 3,800 where I noticed that I just started dying a lot more often. Previously, the only thing that really did kill me was like ground degen, specifically the frozen ground. Like that was the only thing that was really killing me. Now there has been a lot more of monsters, rare monsters that have actually been able to kill my character. I think mainly it just depends on the mods that are on the area and the mods that the rare monster has, but those situations have become a little bit more common. But anyways, so let's get into a couple of runs real quick. So we have two here. We'll do, this one is a really annoying node. You know, the tier 3 Azurite one just takes forever, right? So we're gonna go to the Chaos one and then we'll come down into this one. And hopefully we don't die too many times in the showcase. You might notice that my gear and a lot of things are set up a lot differently. And I guess we'll go over those a little bit later after we do these runs here. Alright, so bear with me in the lag a little bit. I'm just going to jump over to the place here and just kind of kill everything, right? So, you know, these kind of nodes, it's, maybe get like the Hubris Circlet, maybe. I haven't found any, I've only found one Hubris Circlet, but it wasn't a Chaos one. Okay, so that was pretty easy. Let's go over to the tier 3 Azurite node. So this node, these nodes are actually timed apparently, right? So in order to complete it, you do have to kill the final boss, kind of, or other on the tier 2, tier 1, it's like the rare mob, right? But I think there is like a timer for when they do spawn, right? So you actually do have to sit through the end. Doesn't really matter if you kill everything very fast. Okay. So let's just go run down to there and try to click this node without dying. I'm standing in the degen again, but you know, since we are attacking pretty fast, now I think my attacks are about 16 to 17 attacks per second. We can actually out-sustain the degen when there's enough monsters. And don't die to the darkness. Alright, things are going pretty good so far. Let's just do a ball lightning strike. Oh, we don't have Grace Eye. Every now and then, maybe it's just because of like, you know, my FPS or whatever, but I'll press my Grace Aura and then I notice it's not on, so like, I guess the game didn't register the push, or the keyboard push or whatever, right? Alright, so we got the last little boss for this area. He does some darkness, so we'll just pop our flares, and that's it. Alright, cool. I got some nice loot. And let's just head back. So that's kind of how these nodes go. Most of them go. As far as like the speed of how I'm killing the rares, you can see it is the damage is definitely very good. Defense is still very good, and only the most you know, extreme map mods and monster mods are going to actually give you any trouble. But let's kind of get into some of the gear changes. You can see I'm actually using the original Sin ring. This is something I wanted to use for quite a long time, actually, and thought, well, might as well just try it in this patch while we're doing Delve. Well, one of the main reasons I like this ring is if you're doing, say, elemental damage, then if you run into an area that has monsters have increased resistance, or there is the Arch Nemesis mod, the monsters will be lightning resistant, right? So those are actually going to give you a little bit of trouble and lower your damage by quite a bit. But if you're using the original Sin, you don't run into any of those problems. Your damage is always going to be consistent. Yeah, it's just consistent damage, right? So that really does make gameplay feel a lot better. Okay, so we did have to lose our rare ring, which is kind of sad. See, we did drop quite a lot of energy shield. But, you know, it's been alright, actually. Haven't really noticed the drop in defense that much. Okay, so another thing I bought a ring that has a grants 23 despair skill, so I don't actually have to use a socket for my despair gem, which is pretty nice because we are pretty socket starved, right?
I have nothing more to give.
And then aside from that, I did sort of change out my gems a bit, so let's just kind of go into PoB. Actually, no, we'll do the gems first. So I dropped Vitality, and the main reason is because now I have to push Despair, right? So now we have Grace, Despair, then we have Smite, right? So that's three buttons, and if we had a totem, that would be 4. And basically, I've actually taken out the totem too, because if you're doing some kind of delve node, then this guy is just, there's no point in using your totem because he's just gonna die like a second or two later, right? So I actually just put in Awakened Enhance, so we have Defiance Banner and our Sniper's Mark and Mark on Hit with Enhance. And dropping, the reason why I dropped Vitality is first of all for the gem socket, right? So I wanted an extra gem socket so I could put in a Molten Shell. So we have Molten Shell, and also for the Mark on Hit. And then because Despair Mark on Hit is actually costing 13 mana, you see we do need some, I needed some extra mana, and it was pretty hard to actually get that mana without dropping a lot of max res on the tree. So end of the day, decided just to drop Vitality. Don't really end up really need it in the nodes. As you can see, the ES recovery is very good with just the Watcher's Eye. With the gain energy shield on hit, Watcher's Eye, right? So recovery is totally fine without Vitality. The only time you really notice it is going to be when you fight the Crystal King, or All, right? Because he has his Otemba phase, right? And then in that phase, if you usually I just like to face tank the little ice balls that come out, but if you don't have any regen, you can't really do that, right? So you have to actually dodge them, and it makes the fight very uncomfortable. So I do have a different setup that I use when I do fight him, and we'll go over that. I guess we can go over it now, right? So, excuse me. So I change my Forbidden Jewels, right? So I'm using Deadeye right now, but if I ever do want to have regen, what I do is I use this Guardian one. So Guardian, the best thing about this is auras from your skills grant 3% increased recovery rate of life. So with this, and just with one flask with the regenerate 3 life per second during effect, this is going to give me 400 plus ES regen, basically, just with this combo here. And then if I was using Vitality on top of that, that's going to be about 1,000, wait, close to 2,000, about 1,800 ES regen. So this is actually something that you guys could use, say if you don't have an ES on hit Watcher's Eye and you're struggling with recovery. Well, you can drop the Deadeye Forbidden Flame Jewels, grab Guardian, one of these flasks, Vitality, and you'll have 1,800 ES regen, plus the every 4 seconds regenerate 50% of your life over 1 second. So really, really strong for energy shield regen. And I think if you actually got life regen on all of your gear, so like you get 100 here, 100 here, and then you can get some on your rings, right? If you're using rare rings, you can get some over there, right? So you could potentially get up to about like what, 3,000 ES regen per second, which is pretty insane considering that usually you only have 4,000 to 5,000 ES, right? On lower tier build, lower budget builds, you might have like 3,500 ES, right? So that's going to be, you're basically regenerating your full ES every, per second. So that's going to be pretty insane. Are going to lose some damage, of course, because Deadeye does give quite a lot of damage, but for pure ES regen, this is pretty insane, I think. All right, so let's go over the PoB. So what's the big deal with Original Sin, right? So here is the first my original PoB for the lightning strike. You're doing pure lightning damage. You can see we have a combined DPS of 500 million. Our hit DPS is 113 on the projectiles, right? So pretty nice damage, but like this gets reduced by so much when you run into the, monsters have increased lightning resistance and all that kind of stuff, right? This one is pretty nice overall. For most content in the game besides Deep Delve, you're not going to need more damage than this. And I actually, for Original Sin, I think that it's not really worth it unless you're actually doing this kind of Deep Delve stuff, because you honestly don't need the damage. And it just adds another button to push and makes gameplay a little bit more annoying, right? You have to keep up another buff. So in general, like if you're just doing normal content in the game, then there's no real point to actually go over to this Original Sin setup. So let's go over to the Original Sin setup over here. Which was it? This one here. Okay, so you can see we did get quite a lot more full DPS. We're close to about 800 million full DPS. I have changed up my tree a little bit, so because I'm not running the Warrior's Tail that doubled the aura effect of these tattoos here, I figured I'd go up this way. So this actually does give a little bit more damage, mainly because of this Sentinel node here. So we get 24% increased evasion and armor, and then 10 to all resistances, which is all of this, everything on this node just gives damage, right? So this ended up being really nice, a little bit more damage going this way. And since I'm not using Warrior's Tail, there's no point in actually grabbing these nodes. Aside from that, so you can see I've dropped Zealot's Oath. So when I would go, if I would switch over to the Guardian Forbidden Flame Jewels, what I do is I just unspec one of these and go like this, and then put the Forbidden Flame Jewels in, and then you get your ES regen. But aside from that, this is kind of like the base tree that I use, and then every now and then I might think recently what I started doing is I just took one of these out, and I took the non-curse skills have 50% increased duration, so this makes the smite buff go up from 5 seconds all the way up to 7-ish, 8 or 7 seconds. So it makes gameplay a little bit, makes it easier to, you don't have to constantly spam smite, and makes your Grace aura last about 18-19 seconds, so it does kind of help, quality of life kind of stuff. And losing just one res I didn't really notice it that much, but then gaining some more quality of life is definitely noticed that. Right, let's take a look at some of these skills. So this setup is still using the totem, but when I'm not using the totem, you see like it is quite a lot of damage with the totem. But most nodes you're not even going to be getting this totem, right? So this is kind of what the damage looks like. What I'm running now, about 600 million full DPS. All right, so as far as let's see, depth. Like I was thinking actually in the beginning just to go to 4K depth, because that did seem to take quite a long time, but I think maybe go a little bit more. I'm still having fun doing the delve, and the build hasn't really hit a brick wall yet where we can't progress or anything like that. So we might as well just keep going and see how things go. And yeah, we'll probably make another couple of these build diaries when we hit a certain depth breakpoint, maybe like 4,500, maybe 5K, and stuff like that. We'll do some more boss killing. Maybe we can do some live boss kills on the next one. I haven't really found any bosses around to do recently. And maybe at the very end we can do a build guide on this delve setup, because a lot of things have changed for delve and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, that'll be it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.